Cardinals their first loss of the season Sunday on Fox. Kyler Murray is an MVP candidate, while Baker Mayfield only has 4 TD passes through the first 5 games, and his Browns are currently in 3rd place in the AFC North. So, Marcellus,
Yes.
does Baker need a statement win against Kyler's Cardinals?
He actually does. Let's be real about this. He needs a statement win, a signature win. He needs to wash away some of our thoughts and memories of him coming up short when they needed him most. Let's go all the way back to the Kansas City game this year, week 1. Have an opportunity to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That's when the Chiefs were good, actually, when we thought they were good at least. And had a moment in a potentially game-winning drive. And what does Baker Mayfield do? Decide to throw it to the team with the other color on. You fast forward to last week when we see him in SoFi Stadium. Baker Mayfield, once again, a signature moment. What does Baker Mayfield do? Throw the ball to the end of his nose 3 times. Check down, check down, check down. Hit his face mask every time. And then looks up, the team falls short, despite putting up 42 points. Largely because of the running game. So now, if you're a teammate of Baker Mayfield, you're not saying anything to him. Trust me, I've been through quarterback controversies before. Google Rob Johnson, Doug Flutie, then you know what I'm talking about. But it's not what the teammates say. It's what the teammates are thinking. Because that's what starts to lean towards the confidence you have in your coach and your quarterback, or the confidence you don't have in your coach and your quarterback. Why do I bring up the coach? Because you're like, coach, you're employing this type of behavior. You're employing this guy to go out there and make these plays and not make the signature plays we need to get over the hump. Let's talk about Baker's wins this year. Who has he beaten at the quarterback position? This is why he needs a statement win. He's beaten Tyrod Taylor / Davis Mills. He's beaten Kirk Cousins, and he's beaten Justin Fields on his first start ever. Who has he lost to? Oh, he just lost to Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Hey, Baker Mayfield, if you're going to be a franchise quarterback, you know what you need to do? You need to get a W and outduel one of those great quarterbacks in our game. Right now, you got a perfect opportunity. You got Kyler Murray this weekend, who is the front runner for the MVP. So, yeah, Baker Mayfield, just to silence the thoughts of his teammates who are starting to doubt him, if he can get him over the hump, he needs to have that statement win.
Yeah, no, I don't think this has anything to do with making a statement, a signature, or anything like that. I think we know what Baker Mayfield is. When you're 50 games into your NFL career, look, the concrete has already been hard. We know exactly who he is. He is not going to change. He's going to continue to be the same player that he's always been. Now, what we have to do is change our expectations of him based on what he is compared to what he was supposed to be when he came into the league. Most NFL executives will tell you, it takes about 32 starts to figure out what a quarterback is, whether he can play or not. 50 starts into his career, we know Baker Mayfield. Look, he's a mid-level quarterback. He's a quarterback that's capable of leading your team to wins. You can get to a Super Bowl and maybe even win a Super Bowl with him, but you won't necessarily win it because of him, and there's nothing wrong with that. So all he needs to do is win. It won't make a statement on who he is in terms of the lexicon of the quarterbacks in the league. It'll just make a statement on how good the Browns are and what their potential is this season.
I'm with you, Buck. No, he does not need a statement win. In fact, I can imagine Kevin Stefanski hearing this subject come up and thinking, I hope Baker's not watching that. I hope he's not thinking that with Nick Chubb out, it's time for Baker to step up and ride to the rescue. I'm going to get it done. Because that's when the Cleveland Browns are at their worst. The only statement that he could make is, I'm not going to get in the way of how good the rest of the team is. That would be the statement. The signature, if it's Baker's on this team, on this game, then there's going to be problems ultimately, because we've seen it.
Yeah.
When Baker is the main thing, the 3 times that he has passed for 300 plus yards, including just last week, the Browns have lost all those games. When he is at their best, it's not necessarily what's best for the Cleveland Browns. So less is more without question when it comes to Baker Mayfield. I hope, for the Browns' sake, that he doesn't go into this game thinking, well, Nick Chubb is out. I'm going up against my old guy, Kyler Murray. I need to show the world that I can get this done. Because every time he's approached it that way, it has not worked out for the Cleveland Browns.
Nah, y'all making my point. And I agree with you guys in helping me make my point, which is you need a statement game. You need a statement win. You can't just have a resume that keeps saying the most of Baker Mayfield is the worst for the Cleveland Browns. So now it's time to do both. Do the most, Baker. Get over 300 passing yards. Throw some touchdowns, no interceptions. But also get the victory and get it against an accomplished, great quarterback. He has all of that in front of him. I love you, Bucky, but you said something that just took me back. I had a flashback when you said, well, after 32 games, we know who you are as a quarterback in this league. And he's played 50 games. Well, I'll go back to those Rich Gannon days. And I don't know if people saw Rich Gannon after 32 games and said, okay, he's this. Because whatever you stamped him at 32, you changed your mind once you saw him after 50 and you saw him with those Raiders. Rich Gannon was coming, and he continued to evolve. Baker Mayfield may continue to evolve. I'm not so certain. Multiple coaches, multiple coordinators. Maybe Baker Mayfield still has some better football in front of him. You know I'm not a Baker supporter, but I ain't going to condemn the dude and say, oh, career over. You're stuck at wherever you are in mediocrity. Hell no, I'm not about to do all that. I'm going to keep it 100, and this is going to be 100 right here. His worst crime on this team is not the fact that he comes up a little short when they need him most at the end of the games. It's not that. Because, look, let's be real. He did score 42 points, even though it was a large contribution from the running game. His biggest crime is ruining Odell Beckham Jr. The biggest crime right now is occurring on that roster and Odell Beckham Jr. Now, Odell, you're not absolved of guilt either. You're out there dropping passes. I saw it at SoFi, hit you right there in the hands, and Baker Mayfield just sitting there like, oh, my. I don't know if I'm going to give him any more targets. But the point is that relationship, that chemistry, something has to give in that. Because imagine what this offense will look like. Imagine what Baker Mayfield will look like if he didn't ruin and waste Odell Beckham. All of that adds up to, look, you have it all in front of you. Your running game is compromised this game. You're going against Kyler Murray. You're going against the only team that hasn't had a loss this year. And you need a statement win so we can wash away some of the sins you've had this year.
Like, I like that, Marcellus. I like all those things you talked about, bringing up Rich Gannon. I played Rich Gannon in Kansas City and in Oakland. I remember his emergence, and he's playing like as an MVP. Baker Mayfield ain't Rich Gannon. He's not Rich Gannon. It's not going to be a Rich Gannon conversation.
Rich Gannon wasn't Rich Gannon.
It kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of Rick, because Rick, he goes to the finals every year. He's in it. Kind of reminds me of Matthew Dellavedova. Remember when Matthew Dellavedova was balling, and it was Matthew Dellavedova in the Cavs, and he was just going at it. He was going at Steph Curry. We were like, you know what? Maybe Matthew Dellavedova is a baller. And then the next year we saw him in Milwaukee, and he was just the same guy. It doesn't change. So that's what it is. Look, you are what you are. That's your station in life. So I'm not going to get caught up in Baker Mayfield has a 400, 500, 600-yard performance. We have seen him play long enough in this system to know exactly what he is. He's a bus driver. Like, he just, look, they got all the things. He just kind of drops it off, gives it to him. He doesn't do all that. He is not going to be the guy that is the reason why the Cleveland Browns win and win at a high level.
Yeah, Marcellus, I think it comes down to, I mean, we all have a very similar view on who Baker Mayfield is or what he has done. Certainly, it comes down to the definition of what a statement win or a signature win is, which in my mind is Baker needs to put his stamp on this game. Baker has to make this his win. And I believe that's where they get into trouble. If he's going to throw for 300 yards, that means he's throwing downfield. That means he's throwing into some windows. That means he's taking control of the offense. The formula for the Cleveland Browns in winning, and I believe it's still important that they win as opposed to Baker making a statement, and how they win is play defense, run the ball, and don't ask too much Baker Mayfield. That, to me, is how the Cleveland Browns are at their best. And my concern is in thinking that he has to make a statement, he's going to go outside of that. To your point, we've seen him when he tries to do a little too much. It does not work out well. So I don't want him thinking that way. I don't want him thinking, I need to show everybody that I can have a big game and we can win. because I just don't believe in that formula for the Cleveland Browns.
So you're just going to go to Norms and just order more checkdowns, huh? That's what you want from Baker Mayfield? Just showing up to your table, check down.
If it wins games, I'll take what I can
That's all we
get.
can do.
Man, hell no. We already said they're compromising the running game because Chubb's out, so it's not going to win games the same way. Look, we know Kareem Hunt could go do his thing, but point being, Baker Mayfield needs to do this. Athletes are irrational beings. Like, we have to think that we are out of this world to even compete in this world. Like, every one of us gets in the weight room, every one of us watches film, and every one of us imagines us doing it at the highest level and doing it the best. If not, you're not going to be a professional athlete. Let's be real. Let alone the number 1 overall pick in Baker Mayfield. That said, Baker Mayfield can't rob this team. This is a Super Bowl contending team. Baker Mayfield can't rob this team of it being irrational. He can't rob this team of it being cocky. You know what's going to happen if Baker Mayfield doesn't give them that statement win? They won't believe that Baker Mayfield can get them over the hump.